Free agency is almost here. Let's make some predictions about where the biggest names in the NBA are going to land. I've got some surprises in here, including the last one. I think that may shock a few people. Let's dive into it. Quick reminder, do subscribe right here to the channel. Don't forget to turn on those notifications. All right, first and foremost, LeBron James. Where is he going to wind up? He has a player option. I don't think he picks up the option, but I also don't think he leaves LA. I think LeBron sticks with the Lakers. I think we see a 2-year deal for LeBron James, but I think he gets the no trade clause that he is now eligible for. The Lakers seem to be willing to give LeBron whatever it is he wants. So I think he does indeed get that no trade on a new deal with the Lakers. Sticking with LA, let's jump over to Paul George. I actually think there was a deal to be had between Paul George and the Clippers. It would have already been done by now. So I think Paul George and the Clippers actually part ways, and Paul George walks into the Philadelphia 76ers cap space to team up with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid on a 4-year max deal. Now, I do buy the Keith Pompey report that James Harden is going to do everything he can to convince Paul George that Daryl Morey can't be trusted with the 76ers. I just don't think in the end it's going to overrule the dollars that the 76ers are going to offer that the Clippers don't appear to be willing to. Those new luxury tax penalties, they seem to be a real thing, and the Clippers appear to be fairly wary of them. Now, I don't think the Clippers are going to take that lying down. I do expect them to try to get into sign-and-trade negotiations with a guy like DeMar DeRozan. I'm sure there's some other players that they'll poke around on. I do think ultimately DeRozan sticks with the Chicago Bulls because I think Chicago is going to do a silly thing once again, and they're going to offer him more money than anybody else is willing to. 2 years, $70 million is what I'm thinking DeMar DeRozan's going to get from Chicago. Is it what I would do? No. Is it what most people would do? No. But hey, Bulls, you do you. But Chicago hangs on to DeMar DeRozan. The Clippers will turn elsewhere and try to find a way to replace Paul George. I do see them hanging on to James Harden on a new deal and Russell Westbrook. Those guys stick around to continue to team up with Kawhi Leonard and maybe a bigger role for Terrence Mann next season if Paul George is on the way out. Let's jump up north to the Golden State Warriors. Klay Thompson, I know there's been a lot of talk about him leaving. You know, I still think at the end of the day, they find a way to get it done and keep Klay in the Bay. How many times can I rhyme there? Klay Thompson is going to wind up staying with the Warriors. I think here's how it's going to happen. They're going to waive Chris Paul, and we'll talk about him in just a minute, who has $30 million non-guaranteed. Nobody wants to pay Chris Paul $30 million in today's NBA, so the Warriors will waive him. I could also see them parting ways either via trade or simply waiving Kevon Looney, who only has $3 million guaranteed on his contract. They could free up somewhere in the range of about $20 million for Klay Thompson. It's about half of what he was making this past season, but I do think nostalgia is a powerful thing, and Klay's going to want to finish his career in Golden State. If they can get to that number, ultimately, I think he winds up sticking around with the Warriors rather than taking the money from a team like, say, the Orlando Magic. But the Magic are not going to come up empty. Oh, no. Malik Monk, a free agent and a perfect fit for what the defensive-savvy Orlando Magic need. They need somebody who can come in and score from the perimeter, from the guard position. Malik Monk, explosive. Boy, he can put up points in a hurry. I think he'd be a great fit in Orlando. I see them going after him with a 4-year, $90 million deal, and ultimately Monk will take the money and leave the Sacramento Kings. What a great fit in Orlando. And Orlando may not be done. They still have some spending power, but I think that's going to be their big addition. It'll be Malik Monk from the Sacramento Kings. Now, Isaiah Hartenstein, another player that we've talked a bit about, talked about the Oklahoma City Thunder potentially being in the running to sign Hartenstein. But there is a complication here, and that's that 2 years from now, the Thunder have to pay Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams. So I think what they're going to try to do is keep their salaries this summer lined up with those two deals, which means no longer than 2 years on the contracts that they give out this summer. I think the Knicks are going to take advantage of that, and they're going to offer 3 years, maybe 4. The most the Knicks can offer Hartenstein is $17 million. OKC can offer more money. I think the Knicks make up for it by offering more years, and they sell Hartenstein on him being the perfect fit in New York. He fits their basketball philosophy, grit and grind and destroy teams on the boards. He's a perfect fit there. I think he ultimately winds up staying in New York. That said, Oklahoma City, they're not going to come up dry here. They're going to wind up with the big. They need to put it next to Chet Holmgren by being the landing spot for Jonas Valanciunas. And I think Valanciunas is a great fit because he doesn't have to play tons of minutes every single night. When the situation calls for it, the Thunder can still run Chet Holmgren at the 5. And when they need to deal with a more bruising, physical big, they can throw Valanciunas Adams. So Valanciunas, I think, is a really nice fit. I see a 2-year deal here with OKC, just over the mid-level exception. Valanciunas to the Oklahoma City Thunder. All right. Now, I mentioned Chris Paul. I think ultimately he does wind up with the Los Angeles Lakers on a veteran minimum deal. Finally, just a decade after he was supposed to, Chris Paul becomes a Laker to team up with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I do think the Lakers will have some moves up their sleeve, maybe something using the salary of Gabe Vincent in a deal, and they could use a little extra help in their backcourt. Speaking of which, a lot of questions still about D'Angelo Russell. Could he land with the Orlando Magic? If not, what does the market look like for him? In this scenario, I've got Malik Monk going to Orlando. Sure, they could still target D'Lo, but I think that what's going to happen is the market is going to be fairly unkind to D'Angelo Russell, and the Lakers are going to have issues finding a D'Angelo Russell replacement. So ultimately, both sides are going to look at each other and realize that the best situation for them for now is to stay together. I do think D'Lo declines his player option, but the Lakers and D'Angelo Russell ultimately agree to a new deal. In fact, one that looks fairly similar to his current deal with the Lakers, and he winds up right back on the trade block at the deadline in February. But everybody, give me your thoughts on these moves in the comment section down below. Which ones do you like? Which ones do you not like? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.